Well, welcome aboard to Camp Night, my friends. Oh, wow, look at this Friday long weekend, unofficial start to summer 2021. And likely the hottest day of the year so far, man. So I've got everything all set up. I've got my bevy. I've got everything set up here, and it's really good to have you along. You know, normally, this would be a very busy, start, right, to the long weekend. A lot of people going to the cottage, also to campgrounds. I was reading some reports just before the show started, by the way, that it still looks like there's an exodus up to the north. I guess the government was sort of asking if you own the place, you're supposed to go there, just for emergency purposes, or you're staying for 2 weeks to quarantine. But let's face it, it's anything but normal for sure. And if you are going to go camping, if you have a site booked, because there are still a few provincial parks that apparently are still allowing it, but you just can't get a spot anymore. Ontario Parks was reporting the busiest day ever on March the 1st. Everybody's booking up. So whatever you're doing, whether you're staying, which most of us are, staying at home according to the stay-at-home order, or maybe you are going to be packing and heading up to a campsite or cottage today or tomorrow, that sort of thing. It's good to have your time with us today. I appreciate it as we sort of celebrate the kickoff. Lots of fun on the way. Boy, this show is jam-packed today. We're going to, of course, have your full long weekend forecast, and there is a chance of some thunderstorms. I'll highlight that. If you don't like sleeping bags, the bugs, and that sort of thing, we're going to take you on a tour to a glampsite. This is one of the most expensive glampsites in the world, and it's in Canada. Okay, I'll give you a tour of that. And I think we can actually qualify this as glamping. Yeah, I know. We set up underneath the gazebo. I know. It's just that the sun is too much on the head. And then, of course, the equipment here, because I wouldn't be able to see the screen when we start chatting with you, a little bit of overheating on the camera. So I figured this is the safest way to be. You guys don't mind, I hope? So that's what we're doing here. But the one thing that has not stopped the gazebo, and that is the pollen. Is it just me? I mean, honestly, it is the last couple of days, it's like we're in the Sahara Desert, but it's all pollen that's blowing around. I can't tell you. Even now, the computer is full of it. It's just covered, and that is certainly affecting the snot locker. I'm sure I'm not alone. Karen is saying hello, so is Shar. Judy is saying backyard camping is fun as well. It is. In fact, I'm going to give you some tips on what you can do with the kids coming up a little bit later on. Miranda is saying good afternoon, so thank you guys for already joining us so early in the show here. Also coming up, we're going to have a brand new AKQ for you. And it's Endangered Species Day. I'm going to show you the most endangered species in the country. Some of you may not even be aware that it existed. And we're going to meet Dexter Kruger, who is officially the oldest man in Australia's history. Now, I qualified by saying man because the oldest person is actually a woman in Australia, 114 years and 148 days. They go by the day at that point, right? So it's going to be a great show. He's going to let us know the secret to longevity. That'll be coming up in the program. Let's get to it. Firstly, the AKQ today, the Anwar Night Query. I'm wondering, of course, the long weekend is about family time, and it's sort of broken up because of the COVID pandemic. So what is the one thing your parents told you as a child, as a kid, not to do, but it turned out not to be true? And I was thinking about it. A couple of things comes to mind. In the wintertime, my mom used to always put cream on our faces, and she said, if you don't moisturize your face, it'll crack in the cold. Now, maybe she was talking about cracks, crow's feet, and that sort of thing. I don't know. But obviously, that's not really going to happen. The second thing was never, and this relates totally to the cottage or camping, don't swim right after you've eaten a meal. You'll get sick. You'll get knots. And scientifically, that has been proven not true. Yeah, you may get a little cramping, but you're not going to get sick. You're not going to throw up. So that's the AKQ today. The one thing your parents told you as a kid never to do, but it turned out not to be true. Kathy agrees, swimming after eating. Oh, go outside with wet hair, says Margaret. And Laura says, don't play with matches. It'll make you wet the bed. What? I've never heard that, but maybe we should try that with our kids. Now, I hope they already have some common sense that they're not going to be playing with that. But interesting. So those are some of the things. Oh, Patricia had a good one. Don't cross your eyes. They'll stay that way. Yes. Now, you know, I have to be honest, to this day, I tell my kids, don't cross your eyes. And I remember I was probably, I want to say an early teenager, 13, 14. Somebody once told me, I don't think it was my parents, about somebody who was doing that, and some of the kids were goofing around at school, and they tapped them on the head with a book, and the eyes stayed that way. I'm sure it's not a true story, but it's still up here. I still remember it, right? Sheila says, don't swallow the apple seeds or you'll have apples grow out of your ears. Well, okay, sure. Cold liver, I guess that's cod liver oil every day. Yes. Now, truth be told, Donna, cod liver oil is very good for you, you know, but I hear where you're going with that. So those are some of the responses so far. And Tammy says, don't sing at the table. You'll cry before you go to bed. Judy says, don't swallow your bubble gum. I think that's still true, isn't it? You're not supposed to, it's like 7 years it stays in there. I think. I don't know. But that's a very good one. Barbara says, my mother-in-law used to say, don't eat a banana before bed. You will die in your sleep. What? Okay, now we're going to the dark side. Wow. You know, then I would have been dead 10 times over. Because I've eaten a lot of bananas. Cross your ankles, not your legs. Well, you know, that might be just something being polite. Penny Lynn says we were made to wait 1 hour after eating before swimming. I think, yeah, 20 minutes is always good. But anyway, we'll continue with that. But, you know, here at Camp Night, it's a magical spot, right? Because just with the snap, we can create, you know, everything comes to life. The sounds of the crickets and the fire. Oh, isn't it nice? My goodness. Now, whether you're able to go camping or not, or at the cottage, you could do stuff in the backyard, as some of you have already mentioned. We tried that. This was last summer. We set up a tent here in the backyard. The kids were all excited. It'd be the first time, the first adventure, and we, you know, brought the sleeping blankets and some pillows and a little lamp and all these sort of goodies and snacks sort of thing. Again, it's in the backyard. And we said, okay, story time. And now that we got story time, sun is starting to set, it's time for bed. So it's about 8:45, maybe 9:15 at the latest. We're settling in. I kid you not, 20, 25 minutes later, my 7-year-old at the time, yeah, I'm not doing this. It's uncomfortable. I'm going back to bed. So he's like, he grabbed his pillow and he's like, you know, maybe it's because the house is 90 paces to the north of where we were sleeping, but no, couldn't do it. And I thought, guys, you're killing me here. So we talk about it now. Do we do real camping if you guys are not finding it comfortable? So maybe we'll still try it. After all of this nonsense is over with COVID, we'll try it. But I always find that there's a lot of fun things that you can do when you're in the outdoor setting, even if it's in your backyard. Listen for animals, watch the stars. In particular, you know, I love the animals, the owls, maybe coyotes, and of course, as we're hearing, crickets. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a real fun game you can play with the sound of crickets. Now, granted, it's never fun if you happen to have a cricket in your home and you're watching TV in the evening and it's just going. But they can be great forecasters, at least when it comes to the current temperature. I don't know if you're aware of this. But basically, there's a formula here. So let me show you what it looks like. And this is how you can tell what the current temperature is. So you count the number of chirps in 14 seconds, and then you add 40 to it, and that will give you a roundabout number, approximate temperature outside in Fahrenheit. Sounds pretty cool, no? So again, something you may want to try. You count the number of chirps in 14 seconds, then you add 40, and that should give you the current temperature. And the reason behind it is that crickets are exotherms, meaning that their body temperature and activity are influenced by the external temperature that's outside. So if it's cooler, they have less energy, they move slower, but when it warms up, they move faster. And to make that noise, they are flapping their wings back and forth. So the idea is because it's warmer, they have more energy and they're doing that. And a part of it is, of course, has nothing to do with the temperature for us, for human beings. It's about mating. And what I found intriguing, depending on the species of cricket, that size matters when you're a lady cricket. So the bigger you are, the lower the pitch will be of the noise that the cricket makes. And that's very attractive. If you have a higher pitch, essentially need not apply their pally-wally. I'm not interested. So that is apparently not to all crickets. I feel like I have a cricket in my hair, or a bug. But that isn't that interesting? So the lower the pitch, yes, something's flying in my hair and it's bothering the heck out of me. So interesting, something you may want to try, maybe even this weekend, use the sound of cricket chirps to see, and then you can actually track it. See what it's like outside, get the temperature, and compare it. I haven't done it this year, but I've done it in past, and I just think it's kind of neat, especially if you've got the kids. So as we continue here with the AKQ, Joanne says chewing gum will make your insides stick together. Carrots for good eyesight. I don't think that's not true. I think that is true, Joanne. I think that carrot is proven. Have you ever seen a rabbit with glasses? I haven't. Also, Ron says, he says the crickets might be CTV's new method of forecasting weather. I don't know. No comment to that. But maybe so. Who knows? Oh, and Kimberly says my dog got, boy, this fly, it's just bothering the heck out of me. Kimberly says my dog got a tick last Sunday in the backyard. It is really bad. It's funny you say that, Kimberly. We have a very good friend of ours, a neighbor down the street. She just mentioned she found 2 actually on her scalp. So we're still very close to her, although we've moved a little bit further away. And I asked her specifically that, was it big? Was it engorged? Because that's where it becomes dangerous, because you have to remove it correctly. You can't just flick it off. And she's a senior, and she doesn't believe so. But I said, you know what? You better go call your doctor now, because the key is to identify 24 to 36 hours of a tick bite, because if it does happen to carry Lyme disease, if you treat it early within that window, everything will be okay. If not, and if you just sort of flick it off, the idea is that it regurgitates the bacteria if it has Lyme, and that's where, if you don't get it treated, it stays, and it debilitates you for life, depending on each individual. But that's a good one. You know, again, I gotta tell you, on bigbluemarble.earth, I did one episode of ticks and how the population continues to increase, and they're spreading their territory because of our warming planet, in particular for Ontario. So check out bigbluemarble.earth. Listen to that episode, some great information there, and we identify things that you need to look for. Alina says, use a lint roller to catch ticks off your clothes before going inside. Yeah, that could work. I think the real fail-safe, though, and that's something we do here with the kids, because we have found them here, we back onto a ravine, is after playtime, we make them take a shower and we check their bodies. Because what can happen is that they crawl to look for the nooks and crannies, the dark spots, and if you don't get them early. So to me, that's the safest. Take a shower. And you know, also going back to the pollen, I've been doing that as well, is just to get the pollen out of your hair. They say if you're outside, and in particular the last few days, you know, the pollen is everywhere. That pollen is now in your hair, and when you go to bed, you're putting it on your pillows. So the whole cycle, your whole room is full of it. So Sharon is joining us. Good afternoon from Jamaica. This is Jamaican weather, isn't it, Sharon? This is an everyday thing for you. And Catherine says, great that I can finally catch up with your new show. Very happy to see you again. Love the set. Happy holiday weekend. And a little bit of a dig there on the audio. You know, we determined it was the metal table that was interfering with it, but I do appreciate that. So, listen, speaking of camping, I want to talk about glamping. Now, you're familiar with glamping, right? So glamping is glamorous camping. And this was something that became a thing about 15 years ago, and it peaked in 2018. So it's about bringing luxury to the camping experience. I mean, it really is pulling yourself away from traditional camping, if you will. But a lot of campsites are now catering to that group that want it, like Wi-Fi and, you know, maybe some mattresses on cots. All these sort of things. And some go well beyond that, including this spot. So I want to show you here. This is one of the most expensive Glampsites in the world. It's here in Canada. It's on Western Vancouver Island, and it's called the Clackwott Wilderness Resort. It's northeast of Tofino. It is a tented safari and resort and spa. So look at some of the images here. And I mean, this is, you know, far from the little pop-up tent and a sleeping bag. It is, I mean, this is luxury, right? They have 20 canvas guest tents. All are furnished with antique dressers and tea tables, opulent rugs, oil lamps, china, and silver accessories. Half of the tents here also have heated floors and indoor plumbing. I don't know. And rumor has it, this is where Ryan Reynolds also married Scarlett Johansson back in 2008. Now, rumor has it, I don't know if it was ever confirmed. But take a guess at how much they charge here. So this is $4,800 per couple per night if you want the waterfront suite. Almost $5,000. Think about the holiday you could have. Now, it's beautiful. I'm not arguing with that. But $4,800 for a Glampsite per night per couple. And the interesting thing is, rich or poor, mosquitoes look at you as a meal. So do I want to spend, you know, $5,000 and be doing this all night? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, the fact that you have all the comforts of home is nice. I mean, look at that. You have the couch in the outdoors with a coffee table. But bugs are bugs. They don't care. So that's something, you know, I don't know if you really want to, you know, venture into that. $4,800. And apparently they have limited room right now. So it's obviously for a certain clientele, but I thought it was interesting the fact the resort is actually one of the most expensive in the world. It's in the top 8, and this is one of the most expensive Glampsites. So they also have indoor facilities too, and it is a beautiful spot. Lots of nature there, but very exclusive. Tammy says, I'll stick with my pop-up camper. And looking forward to camping this summer. Well, good for you. And I know some of you have already sent some messages over the last couple of days. You were supposed to do camping this weekend in Algonquin. You're hoping for the end of June. Fingers crossed. And Bev says, I would rather spend that on Dominican vacay. You're right. For $5,000, you can take your whole family to the Caribbean. Hey, you know what? Maybe we can go visit Sharon. Sharon, do you have room? All in favor of a trip to see Sharon? Motion carried. Yeah, Janice is only for the rich for sure. Well, Ryan Reynolds, right? But, you know, it's interesting to see the different types of options that are out there when you want to connect with nature, because they do have some amazing different things that are available there in terms of horseback riding and, you know, different things to experience and see. In fact, we're going to also look at the most endangered species in the country, and it's also on Vancouver Island. But I want to get to your forecast. Lots to talk about here. We're also going to meet Dexter Kruger and find out the secret to a long life. But the forecast, you know, we have this broad ridge of high pressure in place, so that is really locking in the sunshine. Donna says 32 degrees in Lindsay right now. And Barbara says, thanks for the weather graphics. They're awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And a good stretch of nice weather. Yeah, you know, it is nice. This is something I think we all need. And that being said, it's dry. We need some moisture. But with what's going on, staying at home, try to get outdoors, go by the lake. Of course, keeping in mind that we're supposed to stay in our relative areas. And I know there has been a push now by some of the municipalities to urge the government to open up the splash pads, because they were open and then they closed them down in a lockdown, and many people don't have AC, so that is way. I don't know what the status is as of right now, but it's something to keep in mind. Helen says, love your weather report. At least I can hear it clearly, unlike some others. Christopher says, trees, plants, animals need the rain. You're right, they do. And we are going to get some of that without question. Nancy adds, by the way, she was sitting on the deck, reading, enjoying the long weekend safely, and that's the way to do it. You're absolutely right. We got to play it safe, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, guys. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so I want to get into International Endangered Species Day here. And you may be surprised, because this is also on the West Coast, where you'll find Canada's most endangered animal. In fact, it's on the island. And I want to show you a picture here. It's this little guy, or these little guys, I should say. They're marmots. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with marmots or not. They're a burrowing rodent that's actually in the squirrel family of all things. Boy, they're cute. There's no doubt about it. And I guess if there is going to be an animal to sort of champion and be an ambassador, a call to action of helping the animals that are endangered, it would be this little guy. But what's interesting, back in 2007, there were likely just around 30 living in the wild. And through conservation programs, they're starting to make a gentle comeback. So they've had breeding programs at the Calgary Zoo and the Toronto Zoo. And what they've done, this is really interesting. So they do breeding, and then they flew them back there onto the island, but they let them go on some of the ski mountains because it's a safer territory, because there's obviously some motion of people around. And they let them go there for about a year, sort of stretch their legs, figure out things, because they're still going to be, you know, it's wild still too, besides some of the manicured hills and that sort of thing. And then they go and they recapture them, assess them, and then they relocate them to more, you know, out in the country sort of thing, in the wild, where there's not a lot of interaction with people, because they've now, you know, sort of learn the ropes and how to take care of themselves, which I thought was really fascinating, because, you know, there's many great efforts to try to take care of these creatures, and the way they figured out that formula, so we can do the breeding program, and then we can, because they found them quite a bit in the ski resort area, Mount Washington, that sort of thing, let them figure out, you know, what they need to do, and then they can relocate them, and they're doing better. Endangered Species Day, by the way, is celebrated on the third Friday in May, and the whole idea is to bring awareness and action to protect threatened species. And it's important to know, this isn't just about exotic animals, you know, elephants and hippopotamus and rhinoceros. This is also about local species, even here, you know, right across Ontario, and everything has a role to play. All these creatures have a role to play in balancing an ecosystem. So I thought that was really kind of cool. And I don't know if you knew about the marmots, but I definitely wanted to highlight that. Now, Glenn says, time to hop in the lake. Kathy has been swimming in Balsam Lake since Easter. It is now 68 degrees, so I can venture in there now with the hot weather. Yeah, you know, 68, that's, wow, that's committed. You know, we've spoiled our boys. We have a pool here. We're very blessed to be able to have a pool with the kids, especially what's going on in the last year. And I should never have shown them the thermometer on the heater, because my oldest now, the first thing he does, what's the temperature at? 80 is his threshold. I'm like, 80? When I was your age, 68 was just perfect. Now it has to be 80. But I have to confess, for me too, it has to be 78, 79 before I go in. Sarah's joining us saying, love the patio setup. Looks like fun. Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate that. And Kimberly says, marmots are so cute. And Rena's joining us saying, hi, everybody. Just got in from an appointment. Well, I'm glad you're with us, Rena. Appreciate that. Yeah, you know, if you're at a cottage, at some point you sort of figure out, well, I'm going to make the best of it, because you only have so many days to enjoy it, whether you have a pool at home or a cottage, or, you know, you go to some resort camping. If you're there and it's hot, you're going to do it, because, you know, it's the old thing. Once you get in, you'll be fine. Excuse me. Judy says the lake doesn't warm up that much, so 70 is the norm. Sarah says 80 degrees, that's like bath water. Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe, yeah, I call it the world's biggest hot tub. Oh, man. But there's nothing better, you know, when we put the kids finally to bed in the summertime, because we don't get a lot of downtime. I mean, again, COVID, everything's been crazy anyway. We're all on top of each other for 24 hours a day. But just to go out for an evening swim when the kids are asleep and watch the moon and just sort of decompress. It's quite a treat, quite a treat. And again, I count myself very lucky and blessed. Anne says marmots look similar to beavers facially. Yeah, they do actually. Very cute. Both of them are very cute. Now, I want to, as we get into almost wrap-up time, the secret to a long life here. And that is Dexter Krueger. Officially Australia's oldest man in history. And you know what's interesting is that I mentioned earlier that it goes not only by the years, but by the days. Because before Dexter, and this was just a few days ago, when he officially reached 111 years of age and 123 days, Dexter Krueger is a former rancher and a vet. And I'm telling you, if we show up his picture, he looks really good. 111, guys, 111 years of age. And, you know, you wonder, what's his secret? What is it? And he mentioned a couple of things. He said, among a few things, find something that you like to do and do it well. And then I thought, okay, well, that's certainly really good. And then I thought, well, maybe, you know, there's got to be something that you eat. Maybe it's green tea, maybe it's broccoli.
Chicken brains. You know, chickens have a head, and in there there's some brains. And they are delicious little things. There's only one little bite.
So, it's chicken brains. Dexter Kruger says chicken brains is what, and I love how he said they're delicious little things. They're delicious little things. Now, you know what? I was thinking here. I was thinking I could be okay with the age of 90 without eating a chicken brain. I don't know. Is it worth it? I don't know. But that's what he says. Apparently he's writing his autobiography now, and they say at the long-term residence that he's in, he is the sharpest resident there, and I guess it's the chicken brains. Dexter Kruger, 111 years of age, an inspirational way, I think, to wrap up. Yes, so a lot of people are like, yeah, no way. No, not doing the chicken brains. Also, Sarah says she's swimming in the cold water, takes your breath away for a second when jumping in. And Laura says, I don't think it's worth it either. Rena says, well, I guess I'm going to die before 111. Oh, boy. Well, you know, it is what it is. But I thought it was, you know, his wits is all there with him. So I thought it was a really cool way to wrap up the show. In fact, on that note, as we do each and every day, my friends, each and every Friday, I should say, we like to salute all the towns and cities that watch us. So we're going to wrap up with a beautiful picture from Brampton, from Chincoosy Park. So we say thank you for everybody in the Brampton area that has been watching us. Chincoosy Park is a 100-acre park, has many fun family things to do. Of course, a little bit altered because of what is going on, but it's always nice to see these beautiful spots that eventually, and it's just around the corner now, we'll be able to get back on location and visit these ourselves and do the show from there. But that's just a beautiful spot. So, if you enjoyed the show, by the way, let me see some of the likes, the thumbs up, the hearts, and of course share this program. You know, the key is if you can share this and let everybody know about it, because it's a nice break in what we're trying to do, and I would appreciate that. And I want to just mention that we've changed to the 1 o'clock time, and I'm just starting to assess some of the numbers. We're going to continue until the end of May, but it looks like it may not have been as convenient as the noon time. So we're going to reassess it as we get towards the end of the month, and we may return back, because ultimately, the more the merrier. So we're going to stay the course now, but we may be changing that, just so you know. But everybody is saying thanks for a great show and wishing everybody a happy long weekend. Well, the same for you, my friends. So again, like, follow, share the page. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and also tell your friends about it. On that note, I wish you all a very happy and safe long weekend. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and I look forward to having your company right here on another episode of Here and There. Take care, my friends. See you later.